on Liberia. Welcome, and welcome to the broadcast here, Focus on Liberia. Today is Tuesday, and as always, it is the hour of politics. Welcome to the broadcast, folks. I'm Anthony here, your usual host here on this program, the hour of politics. Today is an interesting day. This edition promises to be politically juicier. And you are in the right place. And I can guarantee you, you will not be disappointed. Do us that usual favor by hitting that share button for us quickly. We have a lot to unpack for you in this edition of the Hour of Politics. As always, I'm here to do my usual political analysis. And this time around, it is on a very interesting word, and that word is called opulence. There has been a trade of jabs between Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and the president, Mr. George Weah, who is telling the truth. In fact, is any of them telling the truth in the first place? Are they being very hypocritical here? And who is even being more hypocritical, by the way? Folks, this is where you want to be. And so welcome, and welcome to the broadcast. We have seen presidential hypocrisy before, but this one is at the highest peak and is happening between two of our most recent presidents, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and President Weah, who is our current president. Welcome to the broadcast. And I can't welcome you enough and ask you enough to hit that share button. And this is juicier. So let's get to it, folks. I don't want to waste your time. I have a lot to unpack, like I told you. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and Georgia are at it. It's just we are picking a bone with somebody he should not be picking bone with in the first place. Is President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is on her usual mission here. Many of those who know Ellen, they know Ellen for what she does best. This is one of her missions. Some people say she succeeds all the time. Anytime she attempts, she succeeds. She succeeded with others in the past, though people are politically dead today. Is she on one of those missions again? This time around, on somebody that she made president. As president, we are making a colossal mistake here for firing back at Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. All these that I have for you in a juicier political package, and you do not want to miss it. But here's the one I want you to pay attention to. The history, the historical component of it. How Ellen started all this way before some of you even heard the name Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. I got everything packaged, and you do not want to miss it. But we cannot start without showing you or defining for you the word that brought all this noise. That word is opulence. But before we can define that word, and it's important that we define not the word opulence we're going to define the word hypocrisy. It is hypocrisy that I see at the highest level between these two presidents who, for reason best known to them, they are at each other through here. And so, folks, we will be defining the word hypocrisy for you. But it is important for us to also know how this all started. This all started because of a Christmas tree. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, during her 12 years rule, she consistently was able to have the same Christmas tree during the Christmas season. And at the time she was doing it, I don't think everybody in Liberia was happy economically. I don't think people were in or living their best life economically in Liberia, but she did it anyway. And so where is she coming from? Something that she has started as a tradition that her political son is imitating. And now she's throwing jab. Is she up to something? What I see happening here is sheer hypocrisy between these presidents, and hypocrisy not any other place, but hypocrisy at the highest level. And this is why you want to be here. So let us define the word hypocrisy that I have identified to be something that is going on between these two presidents. I have on my screen, and let us define the word hypocrisy. And I also have an opinion pool that is rolling. I want every one of you to participate in that opinion pool. So let's define the word hypocrisy. And the hypocrisy here is a noun. Definition number one: pretending to believe something that one does not really believe. That is definition number one of hypocrisy. Definition number two: the opposite of what one does or say at another person. Let me read that again. The opposite of what one does or says at another person. Definition number three: engaging in the same behavior or activity for which one criticizes another. Definition number four: the practice of claiming to have moral standards to which one's own behavior does not conform. Final definition: the pretense of having principles that one does not really possess. And these definitions will give us the true colors of these two presidents as they are caught up in the crossfire of wars because of a Christmas tree, and Ellen Johnson Sirleaf using her usual tactic or using a war that majority of the Liberian people will not understand. And so, folks, that has set the stage, and let's get started on this journey. So many of you are aware that because of a Christmas tree, the former president Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, went on her Twitter page and then wrote that President Weah is indulging in something she described as opulence, that the Liberian people are hungry and that they are without jobs, and yet is the president lavishing money on a man Christmas tree. That is what Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is saying. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is also saying that President Weah is doing this Christmas tree thing, which by the definition of the word opulence is expensive, something that is, expensive, so to put it, and that she's doing it anyway in the midst of people being hungry. She talked about people not even taking pay. And George Weah is lighting a Christmas tree, insinuating that Christmas tree is so expensive. Is Christmas tree very expensive? How much does a Christmas tree cost? How much did Ellen Johnson Sirleaf pay for her Christmas tree for 12 years when she was in power, for which she did not see anything opulence in it? And now she sees opulence in George Weah Christmas tree, people. How much did she spend? Is Ellen Johnson Sirleaf trying to give us the understanding that she was spending thousands of dollars for Christmas tree then? And this is how she got to know that spending money on Christmas tree when people are hungry, when people don't have jobs, is an equivalence or a demonstration of opulence? Is that what Ellen is telling us? Is Ellen Johnson Sirleaf exposing herself here? That I spent thousands of dollars on Christmas tree when the Liberian people were hungry. Because it's a matter of fact that during Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration, Liberians were economically struggling. especially the time she took over in 2006. We had a failed state, and yet there was a Christmas tree. And yet there were fireworks at the time, folks. You people know I'm telling the truth. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf had to go on displaying fireworks during the Christmas season or the New Year time. Liberia was a failed state. Was that not opulence? This whole Christmas culture of Christmas tree and fireworks is a Western thing. It is done in most Western countries. Liberia had just emerged from war. Liberia was plunged into the highest level of poverty ever in our nation's history. Kids were working with bare feet at the time. There was no electricity. But when Ellen took over, Ellen saw the need of a Christmas tree. Ellen saw the need for fireworks at the time. And those who loved her celebrated her for that. But these are the people today who agree with Ellen Johnson Sirleaf for her post on Twitter about Weah displaying opulence when people have not taken pay, when the Liberian people are hungry. Well, Ellen Johnson said that the Liberian people were hungry when you did those things. And you did not only do that for just one time, you did that about 12 times, madam. So where are you coming from with this? Are you admitting that you did spend so much money on Christmas trees and fireworks? And so for we are to be doing it, folks, hypocrisy is at the greatest display here by Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. And like I defined for you the definition of hypocrisy, the first definition was that pretending to believe something that one does not really believe. If Ellen Johnson Sirleaf had believed that lighting Christmas tree during Christmas season is an equivalent of opulence, why did she do it anyway for 12 years? Does Ellen really believe that lighting Christmas tree is a definition of opulence? Or is this a display of opulence? This is why she's telling us that when a president lights a Christmas tree, when people are hungry, when people don't have jobs, when people have not been paid yet, that is the clear textbook definition of opulence. That is what Ellen is telling us. Ellen does not believe that. If Ellen actually believed that, Ellen would not have done that for 12 years. So you see, my definition is making sense. The definition for hypocrisy: number one, pretending to believe something that one does not really believe. Ellen does not believe that. So if Ellen does not believe what she's saying, what is the rationale? Is she up to something? Of course, she's always up to something, folks. And you do know it, that the madame is always up to something. But let me come to something that you will also like. Ellen is what you will call a textbook definition of not only contradictions, but hypocrisy. And for those of you who are following the broadcast, I will get to Joshua, but it is the madame that started this. So let us show to you who the madame really is. Let's show you her true color that fits my definition or the textbook definition of not only hypocrisy, but contradiction to the highest level. So, when Ellen is in a relationship, when it is convenient for her, and drops when she is no longer interested. That is one of the characteristics of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Ellen will always be in a relationship when it's convenient for her. This is what she has done throughout her political life. Let's go to some examples, historically speaking. Early in Togo government, according to report, had a stamp with the inscription bullshit. Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, during the Togo administration, she had a stamp, and on that stamp, the wordings, the inscription on it was bullshit. Everything that came in front of her that she did not agree, that was not convenient for her self-aggrandizement, she will mark it bullshit. That was Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Now, Ellen would later undermine Togo government when she thought that it was no longer convenient, and she will go on against Togo. Johnson Sirleaf served as Assistant Minister of Finance from 1972 to 1973 under President William R. Tarbot, and as Finance Minister 1980 to 1985 in the Samuel Doe government. And she went on to describe that government as a dictatorship form of government, even though she served in that government. She became known for her personal financial integrity and clashed with both heads of state. How did she finance her senatorial election in 1985? So, folks, here is the deal. Ellen was in Togo government, and she was trying to establish herself as this person of integrity, and that she had the smell for corruption, and that she will mark everything with her stamp bullshit. It was convenient for her in the Togo administration. She felt comfortable. She had a position in the Togo administration at the time. She was comfortable. It was convenient for her. In no time, when things were not going her way, she turned against Talbot. She will see herself in the Doe administration. She will work in the Doe administration also. But when it came to the point that it was not convenient for her, she turned on the Doe government. And many of you are aware of Ellen's participation and contribution in the coup that brought Samuel Doe down. And when it was no longer convenient for Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, she dropped the PRC government and John Lab and became a fierce critic of Samuel Doe. So she left the NDPL, or the Samuel Doe government. She left the PRC government, and she joined the Liberian Action Party. The Liberian Action Party at the time was an opposition party to the Samuel Doe government or to the NDPL. So after the election of 1985, she refused to accept her senator position that she had won. And Ellen will go on to join the ranks of Thomas Kuyokwa, who she recruited. And in November 12th of 1985, during that invasion, Kuyokwa was killed in the process. And what did Ellen do? Ellen will go on to abandon the widow of Thomas Kuyokwa. This is Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. The picture I'm trying to pin for you here is that whenever it's convenient for the madame, she will roll with you. When it is no longer convenient for her, she will jump ship. She will dump you and move on the other side and turn her arsenal against you. She did it to Talbot. She did it to Doe. Not stopping there, the madame who joined ranks with the likes of Charles Taylor, and even during the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, when she had appeared, Ellen had confessed that her greatest regret was the fact that Charles Taylor has outsmarted her and fooled her to have contributed $10,000 to that rebel war that led to the death of 250,000 Liberians. That was Ellen's worst. So she was rolling with Taylor. After she jumped ship for Taylor, from Doe, turned against Taylor, formed ranks or joined ranks with Taylor, gave money, and then they launched a rebel onslaught against the regime of Doe. Doe got killed. When things were not going well, when Charles Taylor outsmarted her, she turned against Charles Taylor. This is Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. So the point I'm making, and here is the hypocrisy here. If Ellen knew Taylor was the guy, why she left Taylor? If Ellen knew Doe was the guy, why did she join Doe? And the very Ellen, very lately, who gave us George Weah. And this is the George Weah now she's turning against in no time. Folks, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is a textbook definition of hypocrisy. So her noise about she describing Weah behavior as a demonstration of opulence is complete hypocrisy and a contradiction because she did that for 12 years. Let's look at some contradiction and hypocrisy on the part of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf said, and I quote, "Going to prison in Liberia did not make me angry or bitter. It made me incredibly remorseful and sad." Those were the words of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. But that very Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, who go on and display the highest antagonism against President Doe because she felt that she was put into jail by Doe. That's Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. She is highly hypocritical. So, folks, another hypocritical behavior of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is that when Madame took over, she endorsed the Table Mountain Declaration, or the Declaration of Table Mountain, which called for the repeal of criminal defamation and insult laws throughout Africa. She adopted it in the year 2007 during an annual meeting of the World Association of Newspapers and News Publishers. No discrimination bill has been passed during the administration of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. So the Table Mountain Declaration, or the Declaration of the Table Mountain, was an agreement that had called for journalists, news institutions, for government to not go after them for things that they write. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf endorsed that declaration. But during Ellen administration, you would think that there were going to be enormous press freedom during her regime. But what happened? During Ellen's administration, she displays yet another hypocrisy and contradictions. Robert Sirleaf, chairman of the board of directors of the National Oil Company, sued the Independent and the Analyst newspaper for US $1 million. This happened during Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration. Even though the Madame has adopted, Liberia became a signatory to the Declaration on Table Mountain for free press, not to go after journalists for things they write. But during her administration, her son that she has sent to Nokar, who many people say have been run Nokar, who filed a lawsuit against the Analyst newspaper and the Independent Probe for $11 million. Where will that poor newspaper, the Post newspaper, get 11 million from? This happened during the administration of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Also, the Front Page Africa newspaper was shut down during Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration. And not only that, Ronnie Sie, the publisher or the editor of that newspaper, was put in jail. And he was being asked by the court to pay US $1.1 million for an article that Ronnie Sie wrote at the time, in which he highlighted issues of corruption in Ellen Johnson government. And this corruption story that Ronnie Sie reported on were things that were captured in other reports that came from the GSC. And yet Ellen will use her tactics to go after these newspapers to silence them, putting some of them in jail, shutting down newspapers, and asking them to pay fines in the tune of millions of dollars. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is a classic and textbook definition of hypocrisy. Though the woman became, or government became, a signatory to the Declaration on the Table Mountain, something that guaranteed press freedom, and that news institutions or media institutions or government should not go after them for things that they report, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration will go and do that. Not stopping there, in 2010, the New Democrat newspaper was ordered to pay $900,000 in a labor suit in which the plaintiff, the Consolidated Group Incorporated, sought $1.3 million in damages. Not stopping there, during the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration, in the very same 2010, her office sued the New Brown for US $5 million over a story of corruption. And that case will lead to the shutting down of that newspaper. Folks, Ellen is a textbook definition of contradiction and hypocrisy. She should not be listened to at all. This woman, like I said earlier, was lighting Christmas trees during her administration. She did that for almost the 12 years she was in power. Not only that, I remember the very first fireworks when she took over. And this is the madame that is talking about opulence. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, during her administration, many Liberians are aware, people in her government were walking away with 15,000, 16,000, some 25,000 in monthly salaries and benefits, officials of government. When Ellen took over, we started seeing the brand new cars all over the place. Liberia had just emerged from war. We saw opulence at the highest display in Ellen's administration. Those boys were not riding small cars. They were riding the latest cars. That's why we saw. Least to talk about the salary some of them were walking away with. If that is not opulence, then what actually it is? So for Ellen to be claiming a moral ground here on the subject of opulence, it is not only a complete contradiction on her part, it is a shameful display of hypocrisy at the highest level. And like I told you earlier, we defined the word hypocrisy for you. And definition number 4 completely describes the portion I just talked about. The practice of claiming to have moral standards to which one's own behavior does not conform. If you look at Ellen's behavior throughout her administration, you will see that Ellen Johnson Sirleaf government was displaying opulence in every respect, every time. That's what we saw. When Ellen came and she said she was downsizing, and she carried on downsizing and right-sizing, right? But Ellen was doing downsizing, but she could not downsize the salaries of her government officials. She downsized and right-sized the salaries of ordinary Liberians. And yet, I'm going to coin a new word here. She was able to upsize the salaries and benefits of officials of government that served in her administration to the extent that some of them were either making 50, 60, 80, 20, and 25,000 United States dollar in just 4 weeks. In just 4 weeks. That's what Ellen Johnson Sirleaf did during her administration. That was a mere hypocrisy, claiming that Weah is the one who is displaying opulence in the midst of hunger when people are not taking pay. Today, Ellie is saying that. But in her government, she will downsize ordinary citizens' salary, or then she will go up and upsize officials of government salary, their benefits and incentives and all that. Those boys were having fun. They were dancing in opulence. And so for Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, who showered into financial opulence during her administration, when millions and millions were filtering in the country from donor countries and NGOs, the huge financial flow that went into the government at the time, Ellie and her boys and girls, they were dancing in opulence to the point she had her sons in government. And there is Ellie who dare cry and complain about a Weah for Christmas tree, something that she herself did for 12 years, will come and complain about it. And the sad thing here is that it is also being reported that the Mandan went and took down her post. The Mandan went and took down her post. That's what we heard. And so Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is a textbook definition of hypocrisy at the highest level. The same Ellen Johnson Sirleaf will go on to say, and I quote, "Some of us felt that militancy was an important ingredient in the struggle." And Ellen will come to talk about and will claim that she have good human rights credentials. It is not only sad that this woman is nothing but a textbook definition of hypocrisy and contradiction. Ellen cannot claim any moral ground for what she's saying. The pretense of having principle that one does not really possess. So when it comes to the principle of being able to not spend more money in the midst of poverty, in the midst of people not being paid, in the midst of people not having jobs, that Ellen is claiming that Weah has demonstrated. Ellen did the very same thing. So for her to come and say that Weah is guilty of it, it is because she is not there now. Ellen should find time, place to hide herself. Ellen has been engaging in the same behavior or activity for which she is criticizing George Weah, and that is nothing short of hypocrisy. Let me progress, folks. So talking about contradiction, how many Liberians understand the meaning of the word opulence? Folks, many Liberians are on social media, are on Facebook for the most part. They're where most of all are. Ellen would go to Twitter and use the word opulence. First of all, how many Liberians understand the word opulence? So you see that the woman is up to something. She is on her usual mission here, which is to go after people when it is no longer convenient for her to stay with them. Did you not see Ellen Johnson Sirleaf with George Weah? 5 days to the 2007 presidential runoff election. Did you not see Ellen Johnson Sirleaf rolling with George Weah and cutting ribbon? Ellen supported Weah. Ellen campaigned for Weah intelligently. And not only that, Ellen was able to finance George Weah campaign because it was convenient for her. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf many times congratulated George Weah for some things that George Weah did in her opinion. But she is now criticizing George Weah for a Christmas tree Latin, something that she did for 12 years, even though some Liberians did not have jobs. Some Liberians were hungry. Weah is doing the same thing. The same Liberians or some Liberians are still hungry. Some Liberians are still without job. And she will come and describe it as opulence? Seriously, madam? This is the best that you can do? So again, Ellen is on a mission here, as she will always do, to destroy others when it's no longer convenient. Why didn't Ellen Johnson Sirleaf go on radio? Many of you are aware, when Ellen got ready to take Charles Taylor down, she was always on BBC. I remember one of her BBC interviews when she said Charles Taylor was not stupid enough to arrest her. That was when the madame was on the mission. She will always go into a media space where world leaders have access. She will disregard the local media that most Liberian people listen to. When you see Ellen trending that path, she is up to something. That's why she did and helped to take Tubber down. That's why she did and she helped to take Taylor down. And this is the same Ellen Johnson Sirleaf mission here, to take George Weah down. And George Weah is making a colossal mistake. He is picking boo with the wrong person. Yes, people call this woman Iron Lady. She is no Iron Lady for any good reason. The ironness of her lady is not about the best interest of the people. It is about her self-fulfilling glorification. Many of you are aware Ellen Johnson Sirleaf wrote the book, This Child Will Be Great. How did Ellen Johnson Sirleaf know that that child was going to be great? Who writes a book about themselves, praising themselves, how they will be great? She is about herself. So when they call Ellen Johnson Sirleaf Iron Lady, it is not because she cares about the common interest and the public good. It is about her own good. It is about establishing herself and fulfilling her political desires, even if it means at the detriment, even if it means at the peril of others, even if it means at the peril of people who she rode with in the past and help her to gravitate to another place. She and Taylor were buddy, right? When things did not go away, Taylor went down. When it came to the point that she needed to cross Julie Bryan, she did. Because for her, it meant that it would establish her as a good president who was off to fight corruption. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, in no time, who had declared corruption as enemy number one, who said corruption was a vampire and that she could not, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf could not succeed on the fight against corruption. The madam could not succeed against that fight. She lost that battle. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf will talk about how good education is. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf will talk about how good education is. But I tell you something, this madam will come to tell us that the education system was a mess. After 12 years, after her government have passed budgets upon budget to fund education in the country, after donor funds have filtered in the country to fund and sponsor education, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf will not be able to move the education system to the better place other than to concede that our education system was a mess. After 6 years of her presidency, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf has failed to take any bold action on more than the 50 audit reports conducted by the Auditing Commission, the GAC. Ellen failed. And of course, price skyrocketed in Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration. Many of you know that. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf at some point said that the progressive who had acquired education, she said they were being radicalized. These are her own words. In later years, a reversal came. Of course, more and more of indigenous youth became educated and radicalized. I read that again. In later years, a reversal came. Of course, more and more of indigenous youth became educated and radicalized. Ellen was talking about the progressive, the likes of Matthew, Tipote, Sawyer, Formula, and many others. Those were the individuals Ellen Johnson Sirleaf was referring to at the time. That when the likes of Tipote, Sawyer, Formula got education, when there was a reversal in the education dynamics at the time, because at some time in our nation history, if you were not Johnson, if you were not Jenkins or something else, you could not go to the university to acquire higher education. So she is saying a reversal came, meaning that there was a change in that trend of who needed to get higher education. And that reversal was that the indigenous Liberians were getting education. And she felt that the education that they had gotten had radicalized them. What is radical about knowing better and challenging the status quo at the time that was not sustainable for most indigenous people? The Todman, the Todbot administration, those administrations were not in the best interest of the ordinary Liberians, especially the indigenous. There was a class system. And at the time, the Congo elite were the one at the helm of power who were milking the resources of the country. They were the one getting higher education. And Ellen Johnson Sirleaf will come to say those who got education were being radicalized because they got to know better. This woman, who they call Iron Lady, when they say she's Iron Lady, her ironness or the ironness of her lady or of that lady is not for the public good. It is about her own good. That child will be great. Who writes a book exalting and praising themselves. So that should tell you that. So to you, the Liberian people too are not exempted from the hypocrisy that we see here. The Liberian people celebrate someone only when the person is aligned with them politically. That's what Liberians do. All right? You Liberian people will go on to celebrate somebody just because the person now is aligning with you. When the person is not in line with you, then you will not celebrate that person. This very Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, folks, She done her own vice president. In a major election, Joseph Walker, to his credit, served Ellen Johnson Sirleaf loyally for 12 years. And when Walker decided that he would want to be president, something that happened to be his constitutional right, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf felt that it was not good for Walker. She would dump Walker and openly support George Weah. She felt that George Weah was the best option for Liberia at the time. That George Weah would go on to make the best judgment in the best interest of the Liberian people. I would think Ellen Johnson Sirleaf now should be celebrating and applauding George Weah for every decision President Weah has made. George Weah is following her footsteps here. She started a Christmas tree thing. Her godson is following the good example. For the sake of argument, I would like to say, and she will come to display this sheer hypocrisy by going after Weah for the very thing that she did. And the George Weah man too, who fired back at Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. And we'll be talking about how Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is the one who does not understand the word opulence. Defining opulence for Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, talking about how Noka got bankrupt, how the deficit grew, how the debt got piled up, how Ellen left a broke economy, how the reserve were more than depleted. Joshua will go on to say all that. And this brings us to the hypocrisy of President George Manuel. And I want all of you to participate in the vote here. The people that I'm showing here. Ellen and Weah, who is a bigger hypocrite? So Joshua, when you got to know all this, when you got to know that about 50 audit reports took place under Ellen Johnson Sirleaf that were incriminating of individuals in her government, and she will not do a damn thing about it. When did you get to know that? Are you getting to know that now? I don't think so. Because your response to Ellen Johnson Sirleaf post on Twitter or tweet to Ellen's tweet talk about something that happened in the past. So you knew what she did. You knew all of these things, and you go on to grade her 80%. Some people say 80% is a B. Some people are arguing it's a B plus. So when did President Weah get to know that Ellen Johnson Sirleaf did all of these things? When did President Weah get to know all of these things? So folks, President Weah himself is another textbook definition of hypocrisy. This is the very Weah, along with his political party, the CDC, who make all the noise around here, who told Caste in the streets of Monrovia, symbolizing the 250,000 Liberians that were killed trying to shame Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, that Ellen Johnson Sirleaf was one of those responsible for the Civil War, that Ellen was the one who paid the $10,000 as her initial contribution to the war that led to the death of 250,000 Liberians. And so CDC, who told a caste for 12 long years to shame Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, to embarrass her, to show her who she actually has been, and that they will bring the War and Economic Crime Court to prosecute Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, that Ellen Johnson Sirleaf has failed to implement the recommendations of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. And the very George Weah and his party will come to power, fellow Liberians, and will in no time forget that the said Ellen Johnson Sirleaf was corrupt, They will forget that they said Ellen Johnson Sirleaf financed the war, that Ellen Johnson Sirleaf was one of those who bears the greatest, is one of those who bears the greatest responsibility for the crimes against humanity that were perpetrated during the 14 years of civil unrest in our country. CDC and Joshua will go on to forget in no time. Weah is a textbook definition of hypocrisy and contradiction to the core. This is a shared display of presidential hypocrisy and contradiction that we have ever seen in our lifetime. These two leaders should be ashamed of themselves for throwing jab at each other on Twitter when they do not have the standard, they do not have the moral ground, they do not even have the moral principles on this issue for which they are throwing man jabs. This is completely ridiculous. Joshua is defining opulence for us in these terms. When did he get to know these things? Citing audit reports, citing corruption. Well, those very audit reports are in the records of the government, Mr. Weah. The last time I checked, you are in charge of the government. You've been in charge for 3 long years now. Even people within your party have called on you to be able to audit this woman. You will not lift a finger. When you were somehow coerced or pressured to take some action that landed Charles Sirleaf into prison, when Ellen sneezed, just a little sneezing from Ellen, you, Joshua, will go and release Charles Sirleaf. And Charles Sirleaf will go on to swallow Dumbo after claiming that he was sick. But we knew it was all because Ellen Johnson Sirleaf has sneezed. You cower into submission, despite having the mantle of authority into your hand. You are the commander-in-chief in the republic. A woman, a former first president, first female president of Liberia, former president, who controls no political authority in the country, just by her sneezing, you, President Weah, will go and release her son. Today, he is a free man. And you are trying to define for the Liberian people what is opulence. And if we should take the definition of your opulence, your definition of opulence into account, you are a hypocrite and a complete contradiction. Because if you believe these things that you are saying now, you have acted on them. And that is why I'm going to bring back the definition of the word. Pretending to believe something that one does not really believe is right there on the screen. Does Joshua believe these definition of opulence that he's trying to define for us? Does Joshua really believe in those definitions? The opposite of what one does or say at another time. Joshua is now saying the opposite of what he has been doing. Since he came to power, he has reneged and refused to order this woman. And now he's saying she is something else. When did he get to know that? The practice of claiming to have moral standards to something one's own behavior does not conform. President Weah, your behavior does not conform to your own definition of opulence. If you believe the definition of opulence that you have given, you will order this woman. You will bring about the war and economic crime court. You do not. In fact, Prince Johnson is your brand new godfather now. You and Ellen should start playing these games with us. We have had enough. And so earlier, I was telling you, Liberian people, you too represent nothing but hypocrisy and contradiction. You will celebrate anybody. Today, many of you are celebrating Heron Costa, the very Heron Costa who was with George Weah just yesterday, who George Weah gave $5,000 token through Sekou Kalasco. He will go to confess it. Costa was propagating for George Weah when the $16 billion news came out. Costa was propagating for the government. Hello? Costa was propagating for the government when the issue of salary arrears was an issue. But you are celebrating him today. You too represent nothing but contradiction and hypocrisy. And Costa now is saying he on Ellen Johnson Sirleaf's side. He want to work with Ellen Johnson Sirleaf to take Weah down. You know, this vicious cycle of hypocrisy and contradiction, it's not going to take us anywhere. That we continue to use the same tactics over and over. That, oh, you and myself have a common enemy, so now we are friends. I don't know where you people are going with this, Liberian people. I really don't know. And that is why many of you will not like me. The opposition today that were hailing Christmas Sele, Majabate, they turn against these individuals. Their new form body now, I think that Jemima Wolokoli and her. Because Jemima Wolokoli is against the CDC today. Look, folks, we have to stop this. So right now, as we speak, I told you earlier, Ellen is on her usual mission. There's credible information that Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is attending the inauguration of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And that Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, according to credible information, this may come to pass, just watch, maybe not, but it's not confirmed yet, but it's somehow credible. That Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is attending the inauguration along with Joseph Boakai to introduce Joseph Boakai. During this very Ellen Johnson Sirleaf dumped Mr. Boakai. And Boakai was parked in the garage, according to Boakai himself, as their old car. This is the Ellen now because it's convenient for her. So she played Joe Weah all along. And Joe Weah to play along with Ellen because he wanted something. So he know all of the things that he and his party have said in the past. It was all about the presidency. President Weah told us that on the issue of corruption, the law will take its course. Is the law taking its course? I don't want to bore you about $25 million anymore. No, I'm tired of talking about it. But these are the hypocrisy that these two individuals continue to display. Folks, I will now ask you to start calling. I will take your phone calls immediately so you can participate. I want to give you about 30 minutes to participate. I am giving you 30 minutes to participate. Get your calls coming. Get your calls coming in quickly. Get your calls coming in. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and Joe Weah represent complete textbook definition of hypocrisy and contradiction. They are telling us things that they don't believe. They are telling us things that are completely opposite. When it is convenient for Ellen, she criticizes. When it is convenient for Ellen, she rolls. When it is no longer convenient for her, let me correct myself, then she criticizes. Let me show you something. Maybe George Weah does not know. There is the Global News Network article here, dated August 7, 2020. In this article that I'm displaying on the screen for you, meet West Africa's richest woman. Liberia's Ellen Johnson Sirleaf net worth is estimated at $23 million. Ellen served for 12 years. Her base salary was 90,000 United States dollars. If you multiply $90,000, assuming that Ellen did not take a dime from there to eat, she will be at 1,800,000. So how can Ellen earn $23 million if what this newspaper is reporting is true, that Ellen is actually worth $23 million? Ellen, her net salary as president was around 90,000 US dollar a year. If you multiply that by 12, it's 1,800,000. That's what Ellen will have in her bank account. If only she does not take a dime to eat or even buy candy. But I don't think Ellen didn't take money from there. I mean, she needed to survive. That was her pay. So how did Ellen earn $23 million? Or how is Ellen end up being worth $23 million? We don't know of any business that Ellen Johnson Sirleaf has. I don't know of any business. Any of you know of any business that Ellen Johnson Sirleaf has? Or any investment? Or if she's a shareholder in anything, just let us know. But this is her net worth. After serving Liberia for 12 years, she will make the list of West Africa's richest women, netting $23 million. How did she get that money? No wonder why all the corruption cases were never prosecuted during her administration. Folks in cyberspace, this is focused on Liberia. We have decided to take a historical analytical look of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf's behavior over the years, her shared displays of hypocrisy and contradiction, something probably George Weah might have learned from her. That's the only thing they got in common. George Weah, out of his soul, is aware that there were corruption in Ellen Johnson Sirleaf's government and would not go to audit her out of his soul. Joshua will talk about war crime code of Ellen failures to implement the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's recommendations. Joshua knew all that. When he was cutting ribbon with her because it was convenient at the time for him to get power, the very Joshua in party will be tolling casters in Morovia, calling for war crime code, symbolizing that the caster represented the 250,000 that died at the time and that Ellen was not interested in justice in Liberia. The very Joshua will be rolling with Prince Johnson and will have no interest whatsoever in the war crime court. The government of Weah is telling us that war crime court is not a priority. Many of you heard him when he came from the United Nations. After he said something completely different at UN, when he came, he told journalists he has not been the one who have been calling for war crime court. It is the Liberian people that have been calling for war crime court, forgetting to know that here we are in his party, total have cast this on their head all those years. Mumba Molu will go on to say Ellen Johnson Sirleaf belonged beyond rusted iron bar because of her role in the war. George Weah, when it was convenient for him, when he needed the presidency, at all costs, rode with Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Tell us that his priority number one was to protect Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and her children. No wonder why Charles Sirleaf is a free man. Robert Sirleaf also is a free man. Robert Benrod no car. Sirleaf was involved in huge scandal at the central bank. This guy, when he got free from prison, had millions of US dollars and Liberian dollars in his account. How did that guy earn that money in that very tough country? The guy is still right there swallowing dumper. And Weah is sitting there. He didn't do anything. He didn't do a damn thing. And now he want to tell us the definition of opulence are early excesses. Folks, this is a display, classical display of presidential hypocrisy and contradiction by these two shameful and shameless presidents in our nation's history. Let me open the lines for you. I've said enough. I have said enough. Let me open the lines for you, folks. I have said enough. Let me open the lines for you, folks, so you can come in. Let me open the line for you, folks. Sorry if I delay you. I got a little bit fire up. We will have our first caller here. Caller phone number NE 9806 calling from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Your name? How you doing? Strictly to the topic.
Hey,
1 minute for you.
uh, this is Ben. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
So I think there have been some few things with regards to that post. That post actually that post did not come actually from Ellen. That was done by Benetta Toure, and that was just meant to just cite an incitement with the government and Ellen. But but there was one good thing that came out of it.
Okay.
The good thing that came out of it is that it 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 made us to know how the government actually feels about Ellen, because even the government themselves were even fooled. Because when you go to the president Twitter account, you will see that he responded to this fake stuff. But in his response, he did respond to Ellen rightful Twitter account, and this Twitter account that generated all of this stuff right now is not even active right now. That the person who already created this bot already left Twitter. So yes, it did not come out as it was not real, but we got real facts from out of it. So it was good that it happened, but yeah, but I mean, Ellen has even spoken about it now about 4 or 5 times on her actual Twitter account, and she has told people that she did not tweet that, and people are using her Twitter, to carry these things out. So yeah, you can also check that out. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonah, for that information. Howbeit, folks, I think it happened for a reason. And had that not happened, we would not get to know how this government actually feels about Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. This was a unique opportunity for our government to show a true color, something that many people have known all along. That this government had unique knowledge of Ellen excesses, but they would not do the right thing, all because the government knew all along that Ellen Johnson Sirleaf was a help to them, especially George Weah. And so George Weah needed to fulfill his part of the deal. And the only people who've been played here are the Liberian people. The massive corruption that happened in Ellen Johnson administration, money that were taken by few individuals, those money should have been used for a lot of things. The money should have been spent on the people, but that did not happen because few people took it. And we will not go to audit these individuals and persecute them. And the WIA government is involved in the very thing. So out of a sudden, WIA has the guts to come out and say these things. Let me read a few comments for you here, folks. It seems to be many of you don't want to call. If you are a coward, well, you will die many times before that time. Let me read this one from Dave Ja writes, our traditional Christmas celebration in Liberia. Oh, these comments are going too fast. I lost the wrong from Dave Ja. Oh, I lost that one. Sam Waller writes, you will note that the multiple protest efforts in Liberia over the past 2 years did not gain steam until the former president's son was arrested and charged by the current administration. And we have all gone away since the charges against him were dropped. Since the charges have been dropped and the song clear, the former president has been very vocal. Dave Ja, is that the measurement of success as president for 12 uninterrupted? Yes, you have brought the bar to the floor. I read that again. Is that the measurement of success as president for 12 uninterrupted years? You have brought the bar to the floor. Thank you for that comment, Dave Ja. The one is from Willen King. Anthony C, political specialist. Can you provide a few inconsistency on President Weah in comparison to President Salif inconsistency? I think I did that. You were rushing, my man. I think I did that. I don't know how you would grade me on that. Saki White, hello, Anthony. I blame all those people who did all that killing are now in power. Yeah, thank you for that. I blame again, like I said, CDC and the CPP and the COP will not save Liberia. Jeremiah Giflord, right? What President Weah told you during the campaign in 2017, okay? Let me remind you that he said, Weah said he was going to protect President Saleh. Pepe Tobogi writes, Ellen didn't write that post. Shame on you to think that she wants to put George Weah down. Joe Biden knows George Walker, so stop your false allegations. I love your show, though. Thank you for loving the show, my brother. Every Liberian was talking about this tweet, why it took the madam all along to clarify things, and up to news time, we did not get this clarification that you are breaking. And in fact, when we verified the post at the time, the tweet at the time it came out, it had carried Ellen Johnson Sirleaf profile, the very profile that she carried on her actual account. And Benjamin Jonah here said somebody did that. Somebody, I don't know how could somebody have gotten hold of the old man's account to do that. Whatever the case is, my dear brother, it brought a lot of good things out, and Liberians are talking, and we need to talk because these two individuals, for some reason, struck or dig in at the back of the Liberian people, and that what brought George Weah to power. And because of that deal, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is roaming around scot-free despite of the excesses, things that her government did that undermined national development and contributed to the high level of poverty in our country today. She is a free woman. So whatever the case is, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is a hypocrite. George Weah is a hypocrite. Don't tell me George Weah's response also was not genuine, did not come from him. People are saying it came from George Weah. So if George Weah could not verify his own political monos tweet, all right, who go on to respond to it, why wouldn't we think that, oh, yes, it was genuine? But whatever it is, we want to maintain it was good. It happened for a reason. All right, folks, these are all the comments I can read so far. Let me see the one from David B. Wallo Willie. Where did Weah get money to build his many mansion on 9th Street? Tell me about it. Josh Weah, where did you get money from? When you declare your assets in 2005 and 2011, you did not even have 250,000 United States dollar in your account. Fast forward when you became Senator, President Weah, you could not even renovate your house on 9th Street when you were a senator. When we knew senators were walking away with around $15,000, that money was not enough. It was so minute based on your appetite at the time. So renovating that 9th Street was not possible, President Weah. Fast forward, you were elected. Less than 2 months into your administration, that house was broke down completely. President Weah, and he started building it, rubbing it in the faces of the Liberian people. As those that was not enough, we saw a renovated Jamaica resort, President Weah. You had, we were being lied to, people lied on your behalf that you had $85 million. But despite of the $85 million, you only had two homes that we knew all along in Liberia. The one in Rehab and the one on 9th Street. We saw some businesses that you erected here and there, but they all collapsed in no time. And you had this $85 million who could tell from your physical morphology that things were tough on you. And when you became president, we saw how you started shining along with your beautiful wife. So that was a lie that was told. Our friends in the CDC lied to us, telling us something completely different. It's nothing short of hypocrisy. And that's why you did. And today, as though the 9th Street building being renovated, Jamaica Resort now being renovated, we saw Clone Church. You had the money. Your grandmother you loved so much had died many years ago, and you had that $85 million. You would not build that church for your grandmother or in memory of your grandmother, President Weah. You had an $85 million, you will not build that. You started building the fucking clone church after you became president. President Weah, you wanted this this studio, this recording studio, Studio 14, where you're producing music now. We saw the coronavirus song came from 14 studio. The Walkie Walkie came from 14 studio. And then your latest hit, Lion Man, came from 14 studio. You had the $85 million. The music thing, you didn't just start it. You started a way back ago. So at some point, we can tell now that you wanted a recording studio. You had an $85 million president where you did not build the 14 recording studio or musical studio until you became president and you built it. The movie theater. We know you love movie, President Weah. You had $85 million. You did not build yourself a movie theater. Not until when you became president. President Weah, it is clear that you wanted a compound with about 15 to 16, 18, or if possible, 40 units in it. You had an $85 million President Weah. You did not build those units. You did not build that compound. Until you became president, we saw these giants building, flying in the sky in no time. And your own presidential press secretary Smith will confirm here that those buildings are actually for the president, except that they are not the number, about 49 units others are calling for something around 14. I don't just remember the exact number. But your deputy presidential press secretary will confirm that here I focus on Liberia. President Weah, you are a complete contradiction. All the things that you say about Ellen today, you knew them way before the presidency. But because you wanted power, you grilled her and you said you were going to protect her. This is sad and this is unfortunate. Folks in cyberspace, this is how we will come to the end of this broadcast. My name is Anthony Sie. I brought you this edition of the Hour of Politics here at Focus on Liberia. We can't thank you enough for following our broadcast here. And let us now read to you the results of the opinion poll that we conducted and that you participated in. Ellen and Weah, who is a bigger hypocrite? According to our poll here, 36 of you voted to say Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is the bigger hypocrite, constituting 56%, whereas 28 of you voted to say George Weah is the bigger hypocrite, constituting 44%. So, I want to tell you that Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, based on the opinion that you participated in, is the bigger hypocrite. But if you ask me for my opinion, both of them are equally the biggest hypocrites in the history of Liberia. And that is how I will put it. On that note, folks, in cyberspace, we will bring you our song that usually takes us home. And that song says, we are all Liberians. Whether you support any of these hypocrites or not, you are still Liberian. Enjoy the song, and bye-bye.
We are Liberian. Liberia is our home. Liberian people. Here you may say all we want. Liberia, oh. Here you may say all we want. Liberia, Liberia.